The tale of Icarus is a man who, seeking to escape from a prison, devises a mechanism for his sons where he takes this machine and includes feathers sewn together with wax, and that allows them to fly. He warns his son, Daedalus, I believe, to not fly too close to the sea, nor to fly too close to the sun. The traditional telling of the story is that Daedalus is exhilarated, but through hubris he flies too close to the sun, plummets to the earth, and the rest is history. This tragedy is about hubris in the conventional sense, but if we were to take a little bit of a Faustian take on it, I think there's something very liberating about it. So to construct a new tale, and how I've been thinking about it recently, I think it applies so much to the escape from the modern world. Increasingly, I have noticed more and more radical solutions being proposed in the political and social sphere, and more radical anti-political and anti-social solutions. A few years ago, it would have been deemed mad for someone to build a village in the middle of Arkansas with collective land ownership, and yet lots of us are doing that now. Now it is a common thing to go and move out into the middle of nowhere, off-grid in the mountains without cell phones, and it is almost on the verge of being socially acceptable. The risk of these implementations, or these antisocial solutions as I'm calling them, did not change from a decade ago. It is merely the apprehension of them that has changed, and the social decline that has made them feel necessary to many young men and women, and even some older people as well. The Faustian drive to freedom, power, knowledge is something that is seen in the Western spirit. It is there and has to be tempered by systems and religion, and even to some degree social order. And when those systems break down, religions become corrupted, the social order falls into shambles, what we find is that spirit re-invoking itself. And we find ourselves like the sons of Icarus. What that means for us is both tragic and beautiful. And that is, it would be better to experience the heat and warmth of the sun as our last bastion of freedom, even if it cost us our lives, than to spend another moment in prison. The reason I'm talking about this now is because it's something I've been meditating on in my own life. And as I have become more in tune with kind of this esoteric change of reality, where once something was a tragedy, you would hear about someone returning to the land, leaving society, and you would say, society is wonderful, and think of all the benefits that they are losing out on. Friendships and family and social cohesion, all of that lost just because some person went crazy and moved out to the mountains. Increasingly, it is becoming that means of escape which is honored, that sacrifice of one's own life for liberty and power and peace and joy and oneness with the earth, which we have taken for granted for so long. It is that Faustian spirit in which, when society declines, awakens within ourselves, and we are like, yes, it is better to be like the nihilist penguin and seek out for the mountains than to live another moment in this mechanized rat race for a crumbling system and structure of order. It is encouraging and sad in a way, and yet with that, there's a beauty to it, and it seems to be undeniably remarkable. If we could distill all of the life that we have in our very soul down to a moment of greatness, down to a moment of freedom, where we know that should we not do that, we would never taste of freedom. We would never taste of the remarkable, of the unseen, of the beautiful, even if we knew for a fact that it would guarantee us the sacrifice of our lives. How many more would do it today than would have 10 years ago, or even 10 years before that? That is what creates remarkable men. Dire times, where that spirit is released once again upon the world from the soul of those who bear it. And we are going to start to see, I believe, men who live to be more remarkable. I, in my 20s right now, know people who spend their life doing nothing but treasure hunting. I know people who moved out in their early 20s to go live on the mountains without technology or a cell phone just to experience nature. Now, whatever our opinions about the functional quality of these things are, it almost goes without saying that they are remarkable people. I do believe that the tale of the sons of Icarus is a tragedy in the time that it was conveyed. When you leave a functional society to fly towards the sun, what is lost is greater than what is achieved. But if you add the telling of the tragedy with that subtle context, in which the proverb is sometimes spoken that they are in prison, it seems a more phenomenal agreement of an acquisition of beauty. You are able to understand the hubris, if you will, a little bit better when you realize that a man imprisoned at his first hint of freedom, once he has tasted of beauty, once you have tasted of soaring through the sky, there is no letter or information you would be able to give to that person who has lived a life in prison to make them stop and give up and take a step back and be a moderate. And I think we are seeing that a lot in our generation. I think it is one of the most telling proverbs and tales of our time. And I, for one, look forward to it. I want to see that spirit released upon the world once again, because when I study the catalogs of history, I don't read about the moderates who were content in prison. I don't read about the people who invented for a corporation. We read about the people who broke free and let nothing stop them. Nothing, not even death.